Everything costs more than it did 5 years ago. Your groceries, your rent, your gas, your streaming subscriptions, your fast food, your coffee, your insurance. The average American household is spending somewhere between $700 and $1,000 more per month than they were in 2019 just to maintain the same standard of living. Everything went up. Except a few things. There are a handful of products, sold by some of the largest companies in the world, that have not raised their prices in years. Some of them for decades. Some of them since before most of their customers were born. And the reason they haven't raised their prices is not because they're generous. It's because not raising the price is the most profitable thing they can do. That's the story. Let's start with the most famous one. The Costco hot dog. One hot dog and a 20-ounce soda with free refills. $1.50. That has been the price since 1985. 41 years. In 1985, a gallon of gas cost $1.09. The average house cost $89,000. A movie ticket was $3.55. And a Costco hot dog cost $1.50. Today a gallon of gas costs around $3.50. The average house costs over $400,000. A movie ticket costs $15. And a Costco hot dog still costs $1.50. Adjusted for inflation, that hot dog should cost $4.65 today. Costco sells it for $1.50. They lose money on every single one. The story behind why this price has never changed involves a threat of murder. When Costco's current CEO Craig Jelinek went to co-founder Jim Sinegal and told him they were losing money on the hot dog and needed to raise the price, Sinegal's response was direct. "If you raise the effing hot dog, I will kill you, figure it out." Jelinek figured it out. Costco built its own hot dog manufacturing plant. They created the Kirkland Signature hot dog brand specifically to eliminate the margin they were losing by buying from outside suppliers like Hebrew National. They now produce around 388 million hot dogs a year at their own facility. They did all of that to protect a $1.50 price point that loses money. Why? Because the hot dog is not a product. It is a marketing strategy. The entire Costco business model is built around the idea that if you trust Costco to give you value, you will pay $65 to $130 a year for a membership that gives you access to that value. The hot dog is intentionally priced at or near break even because Costco believes the goodwill it generates is far more valuable than any small profit they could make by raising the price. Every time someone walks into a Costco and buys a $1.50 hot dog in 2026, their brain registers, "This place gives me an honest deal." That feeling is worth more than the margin on a hot dog. That feeling is what makes them renew their membership. And Costco makes almost all of its actual profit from membership fees. In fiscal year 2025, Costco made $4.83 billion in net income. Membership fee revenue was $4.83 billion. The retail operation itself, the actual selling of products, is essentially break-even. The business model is, keep prices so low that people keep paying for the membership. The hot dog is the anchor of that entire system. Now the rotisserie chicken. Same company. Same logic. Even more dramatic numbers. Costco's rotisserie chicken has been consistently priced at $4.99 since it was first put on shelves in 1994. As of 2026, adjusted for inflation, the price should be at least $11. They sell it for $4.99. Every year they sell approximately 157 million of them. They openly admit they lose money on the chicken. In a 2015 earnings call, their CFO Richard Galanti said publicly that the company was taking a multi-million-dollar annual loss by not raising the price. And then Costco did something that is one of the most committed infrastructure moves in retail history. They spent $450 million building their own chicken production facility in Nebraska. A $450 million investment to protect a $4.99 price point. The facility slaughters and processes over 100 million chickens annually, supplying approximately 40% of Costco's total rotisserie chicken volume. They recruited Nebraska farmers specifically to supply the facility. They control the supply chain from egg to roasted bird to your cart. All of that to save approximately 35 cents per chicken on production cost. They built a factory for 35 cents a bird, because the alternative was raising the price. And raising the price was not an option. The company has openly committed to maintaining the $4.99 price as a core promise to members. The chicken goes at the back of the store. Not near the entrance. Not near the checkout. At the very back. Past every aisle of televisions and mattresses and bulk paper goods and expensive electronics. You have to walk through the entire store to get your $4.99 chicken. And while you're walking, you're buying things. Things with real margins. Things that make up for the loss on the chicken many times over. The chicken is the reason you came. The 65-inch television is how Costco makes money on the visit. Now let's talk about something different. White Castle. White Castle opened in 1921 in Wichita, Kansas. It is the oldest fast food chain in America. The original slider cost 5 cents. 5 cents in 1921 is roughly equivalent to 90 cents today when you adjust for inflation. A White Castle slider in Ohio right now costs 98 cents. That is almost exactly the inflation-adjusted price of the original 1921 slider. 105 years of selling essentially the same product for essentially the same real dollar value. That is not an accident. White Castle has always positioned itself as the affordable option. The everyday indulgence that working-class Americans can access without thinking too hard about the budget. And the way they have maintained that positioning for over a century is by keeping the product simple. The slider has barely changed since 1921. Ground beef. Onions. Steamed bun. No elaborate toppings. No premium ingredients. No seasonal menu that requires retraining every few months. Operational simplicity is how you keep prices low for 100 years. To cut costs further and stay competitive, White Castle introduced a kitchen robot called Flippy to handle basic fry cook tasks, with plans to roll it out in about a third of their locations. They are automating the thing they can automate to protect the price point that defines who they are. And White Castle is still privately owned. They do not have shareholders demanding margin expansion. They do not have a public earnings call where analysts ask why the slider isn't $1.50. The family that owns White Castle has been able to make the long-term decision to stay cheap because they don't owe anyone a quarterly return. That ownership structure is a significant part of why the price has held. Now here is the one that most people know but nobody thinks about from a business perspective. The McDonald's McDouble. For years the McDouble sat at $1 on the McDonald's value menu. And even as McDonald's raised prices across the board during the post-pandemic inflation period, the McDouble became something of a cultural flashpoint. In 2024 and 2025, as McDonald's faced backlash for prices on premium items approaching $10 for a combo meal, the McDouble became the symbol of what McDonald's used to be. Videos went viral of people walking into McDonald's and ordering just a McDouble for $1 and leaving. Not because they couldn't afford more, because it felt like a small act of resistance against the inflation that had made everything else unaffordable. McDonald's responded by doubling down on value messaging. They launched a $5 value meal. They brought back promotions specifically designed to counter the perception that they had gotten too expensive. Because McDonald's understood something important. If the people who used to eat there twice a week because it was affordable now think of it as a treat because prices have gone too high, the brand has a structural problem. The value perception is the whole brand for a significant portion of McDonald's customer base. Losing that is not recoverable with a marketing campaign. Now let's talk about one more that doesn't get nearly enough credit. Aldi. Aldi is a German grocery chain that has been operating in the US since 1976. Their entire business model is built around one commitment: being the cheapest option in the market, always. They do this not by selling products at a loss like Costco does, but by stripping every possible cost out of the operation. No brand name products. Almost entirely Aldi's own private label. No loyalty cards. No weekly flyers. No promotional pricing that creates the illusion of a deal. No elaborate store design. The products often stay in the cardboard shipping box on the shelf. No free bags. You bring your own or pay a few cents. No free cart. You rent it with a quarter and get it back when you return it. Every single one of those decisions exists to cut a cost that gets passed on to the customer as a lower price. And the result is that Aldi has maintained a price gap of somewhere between 20 and 40% below conventional grocery stores for most of their product range, consistently, for decades. During the post-pandemic inflation period when every other grocery chain was raising prices by 15 to 25%, Aldi raised prices too. But they raised them from a lower starting point. So the gap between Aldi and everywhere else stayed roughly the same. Which meant the people who had been Aldi customers before the inflation kept coming. And a significant number of people who had never shopped there before discovered it and stayed. Aldi gained more US market share during the inflation period than any other major grocery chain. Because the brand promise of being the cheapest option is most valuable precisely when everything else is getting more expensive. The brands that hold their prices, or hold their relative value, during inflationary periods do not just maintain their customers. They gain the customers that everyone else lost. Now here is where all of these stories connect to something larger. Every product on this list is held at an artificially low price not out of generosity but because of a very specific business calculation. The product that stays cheap is a signal. The signal says, "This company respects you enough to not take advantage of you." And that signal builds the kind of trust that makes customers buy everything else. Costco's $1.50 hot dog pays for itself in membership renewals. Costco's $4.99 chicken pays for itself in televisions and mattresses you buy on the way to get it. White Castle's 98-cent slider pays for itself in a brand identity that has lasted over a century. Aldi's across-the-board low prices pay for themselves in customers who switched during the inflation period and never switched back. The businesses that figured this out made a bet that most publicly traded companies are structurally unable to make. They sacrificed short-term margin for long-term loyalty. A public company faces quarterly earnings calls where analysts ask why the hot dog margin is negative. A company like Costco has to actively defend the decision to lose money on a product to a room full of investors who want to see every line item optimized. And Costco has done it every single quarter for 41 years. Because the executives who made that decision understood that the number on the financial statement that matters most is not the margin on a hot dog. It is the membership renewal rate, which sits at 93%. 93% of Costco members renew every year. In a world where subscription churn is the thing that keeps every business executive awake at night, Costco has a 93% renewal rate on an annual fee that ranges from $65 to $130. The hot dog is not a product. It is an infrastructure investment in customer retention. And in a world where every streaming service just raised its price, Your grocery bill went up 30% in 5 years, and McDonald's wants $9 for a Big Mac. That kind of trust is the rarest thing a company can have. The businesses on this list understood that before most of their competitors did. And they have been protecting it ever since. Rise in AMP. Ruin. Every time.